So what is a script? A script is any file that it can be used by a executable binary file to do a task. That could be anything that you would want them to be. Typically, you're going to have multiple commands that you're running through something that interprets each line of the script as a command in whatever programming language that the script is designed for. So you'd make a Python formatted script for Python, and you'd make a bash formatted script for bash, a ZSH formatted shell for ZSH, and so on and so forth. And you would tell the script to execute with that program. And I'll give you an example here. I'll give you an example by making a file, right? So vi random file. I'll make a file random file, right? The name of it is literally randomfile. And in it, I'm just going to put trash data. There's no format. I'm just mashing on the keys here. That might be a little bit too long. That's fine. It's random data, and I'm going to save it. So cat random file, and if you see, there's just random file, and it doesn't really have any structure to it. It's not really designed to do a task. It's not like I am a genius who just randomly came up with a way of doing something incredible here. No, this means nothing to anybody. It is just me mashing on my keyboard. But I've got this program right here, cat, that is stored on my machine. If I do something like where is cat, cat is stored at /bin/cat, which is a literal file. ls tac bin cat. It is an actual file. That's how large it is. It's stored there. Last time it was accessed. Here's the permissions for it. It is a literal file, just the same as random file, ls tac l random file. Random file, the file I just created, is an actual file on my machine named random file. And here are its permissions. Here's the last time it was accessed. Here's how large it is. Obviously, this is not very big at all. It is 60 bytes total, not nearly as big as, say, cat, which is that many bytes. So, how could this be a script? Say I use cat to output this. Say I want to make this a cat script, which I've never heard of anybody doing, but that's the thing about scripts. They don't need to be for a specific thing. So I'm doing vi. Actually, before anything. So if I actually try to run that with bash random file. Obviously, this is not in bash syntax. These characters have in bash mean a new line character, which means it's going to try to run a, then it's going to try to run this, and then it's going to try to run this, and then it's going to try to run this. And these are not real commands. Or some of them may be, but most of them are not real commands. It's going to break stuff, right? A df isn't going to break stuff. It's an actual command, for instance. So if I try to run this, most of these give me nothing except for some, like df actually gave me a command output, not what I wanted it to do because I don't want it to actually do anything, right? So Control L. Obviously, this is not a bash script, and if I just tried to make it executable, ls, if I try to make it executable, I can do something like chmod. Let's tac L just to show you the difference. Right here, it is not an executable file. This bit is not turned on. If I make it executable, chmod u plus x random file. Now it is a executable file. See, the bit right here went from nothing or dash to being a x. So it is now executable. If I go through and call that file, call the file random./random file, it's going to go through and try to execute it with bash because it doesn't know any better. It doesn't know that it's not a bash file, right? So I can go through and tell it where to actually, or what program to actually run this with, and I'm vi that file, and I can do that by changing the very first line. Obviously, I want that to whatever script I'm using, we actually care about that. So I'm going to add a line to the very beginning, and whatever is in this line, and this is critical, is a file that is used, or I mean the command that is used to run the whatever binary you're using to do this command. And it has to start with hash bang to signify that, yeah, that's exactly what this line is for. If it does not begin with hash bang, then it will just interpret it as a argument to to bash, just the same as this is, right? So with that, I'm gonna run with bin cat. I'm making this a cat script for some crazy reason. Now if I do random, it uses cat to run this file. This is now a cat script, right? And what that means is cat will go through and take this file. This file, I tell this file to run. It is an executable file, so it will run. It will use this first line to run cat, or to run this file. So it will boot the program cat. And then it will load this file into it. And what cat does is just take the file and put it onto the screen. So wham, bam, boom, there we go. This is important to understand what this line is for, because if you add extra stuff onto this line, it changes the argument for this cat. So if I use something like man cat, you can see that there's alternate arguments that you can do. One of them is attack n, which numbers the lines, so Q to quit. If I go through it by random file, I'm going to get back into this file, and if I were to add a space tag n, right, to the same line, it is now modifying the actual program, bin cat's programming nature, to use whatever the cat's tac n argument will do. In this case, if you do a cat tac n, it puts numbers before the line. So now I'm going to go through and /random file. Random file will now forever put the lines between it. If I run /random file again, it will go through and do it the exact same way. However I call this file, from wherever I call it, it will always run it where it starts up this program and then runs this file. I don't need to take the time to do /bin /cat /random file. I don't need to do that. Oop, my apologies. Tac n. I don't need to do that every single time, but the script will do it for me. Now, if I use another program to call this file, like you just saw me do with the cat by itself, bin cat, it will forcibly use this program to run this file, not the thing that I'm telling it to do here. It does not ignore this line. It just does not take this as arguments for running this file. It's still passed in, as you can see. Cat itself still reads this as a line, but everything else doesn't. That's the reason why this hash and why the hash is there, so that most programming languages know to ignore that line. So if I go through and run this by itself again, even though I have the tac n in this line, you can see the tac n right there, it's not numbering these anymore because I'm not telling cat to number it anymore. I'm saying I'm running the program bin cat, and I'm explicitly telling it to run this file, which ignores any arguments that I may have added on to the end of this line. That becomes important because if you wanted to run bash random file the exact same way, it will still run, even though this is now a cat script. I said cat there, but here I'm calling it with the program bash. Bash is ignoring the output here, or like my request here to use bin cat to run this. It is now using bash. I'm telling it run bash. Because I'm doing this, it doesn't matter if I made this file executable or not. I'm executing it with this file or with this program here. So if you are making a file that is small and that you only plan on, or like if you're making a file that you only plan on running once or twice, there's no point in taking the time to make it executable by using the chmod command to make it executable if you only plan on running it once and then deleting it. Just use bash to run the file.